Welcome back, everybody. As you can tell from the opening, I have decided to build yet another Camaro, albeit this one is the 2017 50th anniversary edition, and we're going to do it box stock, except for the finish. I'm going to do a non-standard exterior color, and the interior is going to be non-standard slightly as well, so it'll be kind of custom in that respect. But everything will be out of box. The only thing I'm doing different is colors. And I'm a little bit disappointed in this kit, honestly. It's the AMT, and obviously it's a newer kit. I mean, it was a 2017 model. But there's a lot of flash on these parts. I have spent 2, maybe 3 hours total over the last few evenings just cleaning up flash and seam lines, and yeah, I was a little bit shocked at the amount of flash that's on this, considering how relatively new the kit is. But I have made a little bit of progress building wise. I've got the engine just about fully assembled. Let's see. Now, color callouts in the instructions, I deviated slightly from that. So the cover that goes over the intake plenum, which is, I'm sure on the real car, it's a plastic, fiberglass plastic kind of cover. In the instructions, they call it out as being, I believe, a semi-gloss black on the outer edges and then silver in the middle. Looking at some reference photos, that just didn't quite sit right with me, so I ended up using actually a dark gray for the sides of that cover, and then down the middle I used a light gray, and personally I think it looks more like my reference photos with those colors. And you know, it's a little bit simplified. It's not even finished yet. I don't have the fan on there, obviously. But after I washed everything, I went through and I started to separate parts into rough assemblies, component assemblies, and divided them into my storage container here. Now this bigger section of it has, I've got the hood, I've got a couple of the wheels, the grill, the wing, the dashboard. You know, some of that stuff is still separated from the other parts. One thing I thought was really well done, actually, and I kind of wish some other kit manufacturers would do it this way if they don't. I don't build a lot of cars, or haven't recently, so I don't know all of the manufacturers and how well they do things. But you can see here, these are the wheels that come with it. And I'm probably not going to dechrome them. For the color scheme I'm going with, I think they'll work just fine the way they are. I may tone it down slightly. I might spray them with maybe some Tamiya smoke to just tone it down some. But what I really like about this is, look where the attachment to the sprue is. It's on the inside of the rim, or of the wheel. So that would be the area where it's buried underneath the tire, right? So you never have to worry about trimming chrome at the edge that's visible on the outside. I thought that's a really cool thing. So here it is installed on a tire, and you can see I didn't have to bring a knife anywhere near the edge of that rim. So all the chrome is there and in place. There's no touch-up required. I don't know how many other manufacturers do that, if any other manufacturers do that, but that's a plus in my book. I like that. They need to do more of it that way. Of course, 3D printing eliminates any requirement for that, but in case of a box stock build, that's a good way to go. Another disappointment I've had so far is the seats, the driver and passenger seats. So they come in a front and back half, and they use 3 guide pins on the inside. Let me see. Let me pull up the instructions here. Okay. So you see right here, there's guide pins in the back of the front half of it that go into, receivers on the back half. And they're pretty tight. In fact, I probably should have trimmed those pins down slightly maybe, because when it went together, there was a significant amount of gappage at the seam line. I even had these things in clamps, and you can see I'm going to have to do some fill. I'll probably use some very thin styrene rod and fill in, and then primer and sand and clean it up that way. But yeah, this one's actually worse. Let me see if I can get this to focus. Yeah, I don't know if you can see that or not, but there's a significant gap in here between the front and back half of this seat. So other than those, relatively minor things, it's actually a pretty well detailed kit. I have yet to clean up the body lines, the molding from the body, but there's the lower portion of the chassis already in the body, and it comes apart fairly easy. No problems there. Interior detail looks pretty crisp. So that's where I'm at now. I've got several pieces in primer at the moment, and then we'll continue with the painting and assembly process. So stick around. There's more to come. So I've been working on trying to remove some of these mold lines from the body. They're actually kind of prominent, honestly. So I've done the left side so far, but there's one that came down this sail panel and then followed the line of the quarter panel all the way to the edge, and then came down the side of the rear fascia, which it's, at first you might think it's part of the body line. Here's the one on the other side. But the body lines are all very recessed. Not deeply recessed, but recessed enough that you can tell where it's supposed to be. And then in the front, it started up here near the corner of the windshield, ran down the body line of this quarter panel, so it was like right on the edge, but it was a prominent edge. You knew it wasn't supposed to be there. And then it actually passed the body line and then came down the side of the bumper here. And in fact, this spot right here is still probably not 100% correct. I probably need to sand that down a little bit more. But so if you look at the other side, now this one on the rear quarter panel isn't quite as prominent, but it is there. I don't know if any of this is showing up, but it comes right down there, follows you can feel it, then comes down all the way to the bottom edge here. The front one, again, you can see it starts right here in this corner, comes toward the body line and across the top edge. Again, you can feel that edge. And then it crosses the body line into the front fascia and then comes down vertically all the way to the bottom edge. So it's taken a little while to get this cleaned up. And this plastic, this is a gray metallic plastic, so they molded it in color for the finish that's on the box top. But yeah, I'm not hugely a fan of the colored plastic like that. It's okay, it sands fine. Anyway, that's what I'm working on right now, just trying to get the body prepped, and then we'll shoot some primer on it before doing the paint work. Okay, I mentioned earlier how the seat halves left quite a bit of a gap. Even though I had them in clamps, I still have quite a bit of gap. So what I'm using is some very thin styrene rod, and I'm going to lay it into this gap and use the Tamiya extra thin cement to lay it in there and then kind of smooth it out a little bit. And then once it's dry, we'll sand it down. So that's what I'm working on now. I got this little piece in here, and then we'll lay this piece. Maybe we will, maybe we won't. Well, shoot. Tell you what, a little bit of glue is going to really help that situation. All right, now we can position it a little better. Get it down in there. Let's get just a little bit more glue right here. Now, since that cement is so hot and this styrene is so thin, it's going to help kind of melt it into that gap a little bit. All right, I've got just a little bitty gap on this side. We're going to do the same thing. We're going to fill it with a little bit of this styrene. Let it melt into the hole. Get off my brush. I might need to add just a little touch to that spot. Now this doesn't have to be real pretty right now. I mean, this is early. We're gonna clean this up. Seats still need primer added to them. This is just to give us a head start on filling these gaps. All right. That way you don't have to use quite as much putty to clean these things up. All right, that one doesn't look too bad now. Got just a little bit, I think right here, just a little teensy weensy little bit will help. Well, come on now, lay the way I want you to. There we go. And we'll just hit it with a little touch of cement. All right, and we'll come back later when we get ready to start sanding it. Good evening, everybody. All right, so another week has gone by. I didn't get as far along as I was kind of hoping to get this week. I had I spent a lot of time working on those seats and cleaning flash off of parts and getting everything into primer. I still have a little bit of work to do on the seats. This one, the passenger seat, turned out pretty good. The driver's seat on the outboard side, driver's side, I still got a fair amount of work to do on that side, you can see. And that's after it's been filled and sanded, so I need to add I'm going to have to use some filler of some sort, I'm sure. And that's just primer. Everything's in primer. I did manage to get the drivetrain installed. So wheels are on, suspension's in place, some paint actually, semi-gloss black, gloss black, aluminum. The engine is in. It's not glued in. It kind of snaps into where it needs to be, really. So what still has to go into the front will be the interior liner of the engine compartment. The radiator and fan need to be put in. Yeah, not a whole lot. And there's a couple little pieces, parts, some hoses that go in. But that interior portion of the engine compartment will be body color. So that means up next is getting the body into paint. And of course I've got the interior to do as well. I'm not going to reveal the paint just yet. It's nothing wild or spectacular. Just my finish, my idea for the finish is going to be a little different. But so that's all I've got to show you all this week. Hope to be much further along with it by the end of next week. So stick around, and we'll get there. We'll get there. Anyway, y'all, thanks for subscribing. Those of you that come back on a regular basis, thank you very much. Welcome to all the newer subscribers I've had recently. It's much appreciated. I hope you guys keep coming back, and I love to chit chat with you in the comments. So until next week, y'all, peace and love.